Greetings, Dan Halligan from Kanta Games. I hope everyone's well, and I'm back with a video that is going to be a little bit of a collaborative process between me, the filmer of this video, and you, the viewer. And that is because I have a special request from Wesley Jones, who is a backer of the Upstairs Downstairs expansion, and wanted to see a cooperative playthrough. So for those who are familiar with the first edition of Obsession, probably about 6 to 9 months after the launch of the first Kickstarter, actually after it was delivered, I posted a cooperative version where two people could play against sort of a malevolent AI faction. We call it the Snade faction. In this case, it's going to be Ponsonby and Howard are going to be two families that are friendly and cooperating to overcome. I always like to, I call it the Snade faction, but for those who like Poldark, I'm reminded of George Warlegan. And so Wesley, who is a big fan of cooperative play, asked me to do a playthrough. Now, there's obviously some new elements in place. The first is that there's the upstairs, downstairs servants and all the additional and extra items. There's the new rule sets as far as the builder's market reserve and how we handle objective cards. And so there's enough complexity here that I am going to lean on your forbearance that you not be too much of a stickler in watching this. This is to project sort of the concept of what the cooperative play would look like with the upstairs downstairs expansion. I do have on my to-do list, a very long to-do list, my variants catalog, which will list in one document. It's going to be a PDF downloadable and ink-friendly print document, all the different variants that have been proposed, play tested, and come into favor, sort of gathered in one location with my official thoughts on each of the variants. And this will be in there. So the cart is a little bit ahead of the horse because I'm gonna be getting a feel for this playthrough and tweak the old rules to take into account the expansions. So what's the lay of the land? Ponsonby and Howard are collaborating to essentially save these vulnerable Fairchilds from the tangled web that Asquith might weave. It's going to be a standard game played. Here's a standard length game. We're going to have the round track functioning like it normally does in a regular game of Obsession. And we can collaborate on all our resources, our guests, and I'm going to unpackage that as the game goes on, a little bit like sort of how Rado does things. He just starts playing and then he explains some things, just to try to keep the video tight. So to begin here, there is some coordination as it relates to objectives. And when I look here at the objectives for Ponsonby, I see an interesting synergy. There is over in the builder's market, there is the brushing room, which is one half of this objective. And there's also the servants' quarters. If I were to get 5, because this is for 5 tiles of any one category, 5 service tiles, I would have 5 points. I would have, and assuming I get these two, 6 is 11 points and 6 is 17 points. So if I get 5 service tiles, it encompasses those two. That's a 17-point play. That's going to be the objective focus because they can score 3 cards at the end of the game. So that's what they're going to shoot for. There's less definition over here as it relates to what the Howard family has. They already have completed this objective because when we did our draft, and so the draft still took place cooperatively, and we had the Howards select the head housemaid to go in conjunction with the cook's ability. And we have over here, we have the useful man, which is probably the most dynamic and useful of the servants, no pun intended. But they've already completed this objective. None of these others jump out, so we're going to sort of play and see what suggests itself to us. So round 1, we're going to have an open courtship. Oh, look at that. Boy, that really pleases Ponsonby, who has that focus. They want to go in the way of service, so it's going to be a service courtship. Let's slide over here. and already have decided what we're going to do. When you have Ponsonby as a family, generally your idea is that if you have something interesting in the market, you have enough money to already get busy. So why not take care of the village fair and make sure that we benefit from both village fairs? So we're bringing over the butler. I'm going to do standing up servants now. I just sort of prefer it that way. So we have the butler, and we're going to bring in the Earl and his lady. We're going to pick up an additional 200 pounds, and we're going to look at 2 and keep 1. Well, that's fascinating. So 2 promotional guests. We have Fuller, who's just tremendously wealthy. And then we have free reputation from a historical figure, Sarah Forbes Bonetta, goddaughter of Queen Victoria. Reputation of 2 with no service requirement. Money is, normally when I play, this is sort of an American heiress on steroids. Normally when I play, I always go for an early American heiress. But money is less of a pinch when you have cooperative play because we can loan money to each other to a degree. And having reputation without a service requirement, I'm going to take Sarah Forbes Bonetta. And we're going to spend 100 pounds and grab the brushing room. Now, the servants' quarters is up there, and everybody who knows me knows that I have a unhealthy fascination with the servants' quarters. It's the best tile in my book to get early. However, you have to understand with a scavenging action that tiles are going to be consumed, and it's preferentially going to be consumed towards the front end, particularly with a courtship. I'll bring up on the screen, you'll see a courtship tile is high on the priority list, and it's very likely that I would lose that brushing room. So the croquet lawn came in, and that's a nice little tile. That's a great tile for give you a little monetary path. But I'm going to start always, I like to when I have Howard and I have both the cook and the head housemaid to try to leverage that prestige guest ability. We're going to come over here with the footman. And we're also going to play the Earl and his lady. And here's where you're going to see the ability of the cooperative players. So we don't want to lose that servants' quarters, which we love, which is going to help the courtship for the Asquiths. So I'm going to be borrowing some money. When you have cooperative players, they can loan up to 200 pounds. It's not a loan that gets paid back. And so I will be doing that. But first, let's take 200 pounds for the Earl's favor. Let's look at 2 and keep 1. Whoa, we have a promotional guest, and we have one of the best photographs of all time. I'm going to take the actress and get rid of her, mainly because she might allow for quite a use of casual guests without service. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to take our second level guest. Not bad. 4th level. We need to get to 2nd level for the cook to use their ability. Put that in our hand. Now, we're going to take this 200, and we are going to borrow 200 from Ponsonby. And we collectively have denied Warlagan from getting a courtship value tile. We have a butler's pantry that has come into the market, which is bad news for us, because Asquith is going to preferentially scavenge that, given that this is a courtship tile, and it's really in too expensive a position for us to do anything about that. So it's very likely that we're going to find them with 2 points in the courtship. So it seems to me that it's essential to tie in the courtship. So I'm going to do a hiring action here right out of the gate to make sure that my butler's room and brushing room together will offset. If no other service tiles come out, we'll offset Asquith likely taking that butler's room. And it's probably going to stay there for a couple turns. If they don't take it in this round, they'll probably take it in the village fair round. So it's important to realize that we pass now when we do a hiring action. It's not something that stands on its own. Well, my gosh, that seems horrifically inefficient because I've only hosted one event. I'm in round 2. I haven't even gone outside the estate, just family in the study with a spot of tea and planning for a village fair. Seems horrifically inefficient to pass. Now, there's always been an argument that getting servants early really can help you power through season 2 with a wide variety of events that you might not otherwise be able to host. But in cooperative play, I can borrow servants, so that's not even as pressing in this situation. However, we need to make sure we don't lose a courtship, particularly the first one that we are probably going to be best positioned to win or tie with Asquith. Let me pop out and talk a little bit about how we score this. So there's a blend of scoring that goes on. I'm going to bring a score sheet up on the screen. So for improvement tiles, we take the average between the 2 tableaus. So we're going to want to develop both those tableaus well. For the Gentry VP, we also take an average. So we total up the victory points for guests, and we're going to average those. Objective cards, we're going to score 3. Now, we each have our own sort of strategies that we're working. For example, if I pull this one, it might be a real effort on the part of Howard to go ahead and try to complete this largest of the objective card victory points that you can get, which is the gentleman's group. But we score 3, and my backup plan here is to go with a service play to make sure that we at least get a good score. So 3 will be scored. We come down Reputation VP. I'll take that score sheet down. We're going to score the lowest of the 2. So if there's 6 and 3, we're scoring that 3, which is only going to be 6 victory points as opposed to 21 over on the 6. That's to prevent what would be a very unthematic trashing of one player's reputation to generate special actions to help the other player. So that's going to keep us honest. Bring the score sheet back up. Service victory points, we're going to take an average of the scoring of the 2 servant victory point scores. We're going to take an average of the wealth, and then we're going to count all the courtship and VP cards. So that's how that plays out. Knowing that, I can tolerate a slightly inefficient play to stay after this courtship. And man, this video is going to be long because I'm explaining everything. But anyway, I am going to now go ahead and pass. I'll bring that up on the screen. And I've collected my deck and refreshed my service. I'm going to go here. I'm going to hire. And what I'm going to hire is I'm going to hire 2 footmen. You might ask why. Well, those 2 footmen are trained to be valets. So I have 4 valets that they can borrow because my footmen are trained. So they can go over and with the brushing room ability, help out Howard at any time. So this gives me maximum flexibility. That's a dual function servant. We're never going to be short of footmen or valets for the rest of this game. You might say, hey, get into some upstairs, downstairs servants. We will, particularly Howard, but that's a power play given the cooperative play and the presence of the brushing room. So flip that over. We have 2 victory points for that pending courtship. Over here with Howard, we are going to rotate service. Nothing, it's round 2, nothing on the round track. And so Howard was thinking of making a very, very clever play. So check this out. We're going to go to the bowling green. Servants' quarters is going to enable the use of this footman. We are going to place out these guests because by inviting and providing service to the actress, Miss Jane Booth, I am able to add up to 3 casual guests without providing service, beyond the guest count. And first of all, she's playing tennis with the heir to the estate, to the Howard estate. And then these are the 2 casual guests that I have, the only 2 casual guests that I have, that will come, and I do not require service there, and I can expand the number of attendees. How dynamite is that? My thinking is I want to get after this smoking room, which is going to help us get somewhere on prestige. But look, We're not going to pay the price for prestige here except her 1 point. So let's go in order so there's no confusion. Let's enjoy favors. We look at money. We have 300. We're going to take 100 here, 400, 100 there, 500. Take some of these beautiful Nanny Narking coins provided to me by my friend Rob from Australia. Thank you again. And we now look at reputation. We lose 3. We pick up 1 and we lose 3. So we go up 1 and then we knock everything over because I'm a klutz, and then go back to no reputation at all. So having an actress at our place, hey, what the heck? We're sort of lowlifes. And then we look for invitations and we have none. So this goes here, here. Interesting little event. So we now have 500. This is 400 here. And now there's some thought. Do we take that 500, borrow 200, get to 700 to get this drawing room? Because if I'm going to bring up the AI, and you'll notice that at the top of the standard category, number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 down, prestige tiles are preferentially harvested by Esquith if there isn't something of a more narrow focus available. But no, I'm going to do the smoking room to keep a path alive. So we're going to do that smoking room. That's 400. We'll put that 100 there. Come back here, and we'll break it down. We go on to round 3. It's a Village Fair round. We're back with the Ponsonbys. Let's zoom in a little bit. And we follow our order of play. We rotate service. We check the round track. We do have a Village Fair. We're going to be able to take the useful man, place them on the Village Fair, and that is going to net them 500 pounds instead of 300 pounds and 2 reputation. And that's a nice thing indeed. And then we go to hosting an activity. And so Ponsonby with their 700 pounds, whoops, we did not repopulate the market here. We go and grab, oh, that's weird. Second Butler's Pantry. That now flies and stacks there. And we've got to draw another tile, and we get the Gabled Conservatory. That's very interesting indeed. That actually, I'm sorry, I should flash out so you can see that. So we have 2 Butler's Pantries and a Gabled Conservatory. Getting back to the Ponsonby turn, they want to continue to try to dig a little bit out of this reputation hole. They've got a fresh hand, if you recall, so they're going to come in there with some invites. Important to not have another pass anytime near in our future, so we're going with these 2. Now I want you to see a little bit of the flexibility here. I am going to ask over here to borrow the head housemaid. And the head housemaid is going to allow us to be a little more careful in screening our guests and who we bring in for our event at the front parlor. And so, what do we start out with? We start out with 3 reputation. 1, 2, 3. We've flipped it up to 2. That's excellent. And then we have look at 2 and keep 1, happening twice, mother and daughter. The first one here now, this is a pauper that has an invite of a prestige guest. And that's good even when you're playing by yourself. But with some little financial help from your friends, that's a definite must. Although with a head housemaid, he could be powerful, particularly if he had 2 head housemaids. But we're going here. Have to get into that prestige guest play. And then secondly, the young lady, using a little discernment, is going to skip on Miss Anne Fairborn. Why are my glasses? Why don't I bring my glasses automatically? Got a victory point here on a new guest. And we're going to go ahead and break down. So now what a great turn that was, if you think about it. We did that pass to go ahead and protect ourselves for the courtship. We've now got our reputation up. We've got 700 pounds, and we've got fantastic options. Got my microphone plugged back in. Apologize for that. And there's really only one play here. We can lock up the courtship, and we're certainly not going to give up the opportunity to lock up a courtship and get into VP victory point cards. VP cards have extra value in cooperative play because they're not average, they're not limited. If you can get VB cards, I sound like I'm saying VP cards, you can score them till the cows come home. So that's the obvious play. So we're going to go ahead and grab a Butler's Pantry, grab ourselves a dapper gentleman in black. Stand up, young lady, and say hello to the under butler. And that is going to cost us all $700, which hurts a little bit. But I happen to know that we only have one guest that's playable. We have to pass for Howard, which really was a very poor management of invites. We didn't pull off our plan of getting up to a second level reputation because of the actress. So we have to pass, and we're going to hire on a pass. So my hand comes over here. We are going to first rotate service, and then we are going to do the hire. And here's an instance, particularly in cooperative play, where I want to get a little more flexible by having a hall boy, not only for that 100 pounds situationally in either location. The hall boy, if you recall, enhances a monetary favor, but he also stands in for the butler on some prestige guests that we hope to get as the game goes along, and that really can be a critical option. And then I am going to take the useful man, so we're going full bore. We'll have all 4 upstairs, downstairs servants. We're going to flip that back. Useful man can discount tiles, as well as I think we need to get the village fair flipped as soon as we see what that courtship is in the second round, because one of the reasons I kept this village fair in my back pocket is potentially to win an early courtship. I fully expect them to scavenge some brown tiles, some essential tiles, and as a result that won't be in play, I think, in future seasons. So we're done over here, and let's slide to the middle, pop out, and do our War Leggings scavenge turn. Bring up on the board. 15, we had no worries at all. Position 3, now they did get that drawing room. Look what that drawing room does. That flips. They get the 3 reputation, 1, 2, 3. They're now to second level. You will notice that one of the adjustments I made is I did not include the servants hall with the Asquith family because of the mechanism with the new servants hall that you have to deploy a servant. And I got to think that through. Given that the only way that Asquith can acquire reputation is via a prestige tile like the drawing room, I may need to re-implement the servants tile and just use the old rules of scavenging 1 reputation per turn. Like I said, you and I are working on this together to do the fine-tuning for integrating the new stuff. So we have finished our first season. We get to the end of that first season courtship, and we draw a victory point card, as it is 1 over here, 3 reputation and 4 victory points. I'll put that right there. And I have the young lady in the discard pile, so that makes me doubly inclined, although I think with that prestige invite, now we've got 2 guests, including that pauper. We've got 2 guests to maybe start building up our prestige guest inventory.